His face is toxic, and he said people are having a visceral reaction to this person.
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Flossom Talk. I'm Shady Flo, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. So it's Friday, it's my podcast day where I try to talk about other things than Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's legal feud, but it's very difficult today because there's been so many filings. The docket is flooding with new documents and some of them are very interesting. There's a lot going on in this Van Zandt sham lawsuit. Remember those text messages that somehow ended up in Blake Lively's lawsuit and in the New York Times? The way that those text messages were retrieved was very questionable. And now Van Zandt is being subpoenaed and there's a big mess. Also in this episode, I'll go through some of the stuff going on with those signal messages. Remember those messages that Blake Lively's team is convinced is about the smear campaign and they're trying to get hold of them. And it's so much back and forth. This is going to delay this trial so much, what's going on right now. Anyways, I wanted to start this episode with this video, this interview that I saw with Glenn Powell yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but he's on this podcast talking about this person that is canceled in Hollywood and that he wanted to avoid taking a photo with this person at an event. He said that this person was recently canceled. Okay, so this is what he says. And just the question, who comes to mind when you hear him talk about this?
One of the things that I'm not going to say who it was, but I was at a party and I showed up at the party and there was somebody that had basically been on the ropes in terms of sort of getting canceled. Mm-hmm. And this person had made some of my favorite movies. And I was like, oh, like, this is great. Like, and he came up and he said, nice to meet you. So I was like, oh, dude, I'm a big fan. And then a photographer said like, hey, can we take a picture of the two of you guys? And this person was recently canceled and was like, it was like
as of late,
not good. I was a fan of their work, but not a fan of their choices.
Right.
So I was just kind of being nice. But then when they want to take a picture with you, I realized very quickly how I was like, ooh, I don't know if this is a good idea. He clearly clocked that I was like, ooh, this is probably not a good idea. And I realized I was like, this guy, his face is toxic. You know, like going out into the world, like people are having a visceral reaction to this person in terms of the bad choices they've made.
Thinking about it, it's like this year, I can't really come up with anyone this year that was canceled. Maybe Russell Brand. I don't know if that was this year. But the one thing that stood out for me in what he was saying is that he met this person at a Hollywood party. And who would get invited to a Hollywood party if you really canceled by the industry? Look at someone like Will Smith. Have you seen any pictures of him at any Hollywood parties the last couple of years? No. And he doesn't want to say this person's name. If this person was really canceled, it wouldn't be an issue for him to mention him by name, but he didn't want to do that. And what I think, when you've seen the backlash that people have gotten from taking photos with Ryan Reynolds, I totally see where he's coming from. Just Hugh Jackman as an example, he was guilty by association by being friends with Ryan Reynolds. He was out there supporting Ryan Reynolds. He was photographed with him and Blake Lively, and it really turned on him. His Instagram was blowing up with negativity, not only because of that, also because of his divorce and all that stuff. But the fact that he was friends with Ryan Reynolds really gave him a lot of criticism from people. And I remember, I think it was Channing Tatum who posted a photo with Ryan Reynolds and everyone was just like crazy in the comment section. And as you know, Ryan Reynolds has to close off the comment section on everything he does. If it is an advertisement with maximum effort, if it is just showing up at an event and receiving an honorary or an award, he's turning off the comment section on everything that he does. To me, that is a person that is canceled in the public eye. I think this is Ryan Reynolds. Let me know who you think it is. He said also that he's fan of their work, but his face is toxic. And he said people are having a visceral reaction to this person. I can't come up with anyone else right now that this is happening to, but Ryan Reynolds. Just remember what happened when he showed up at the Toronto Film Festival. Everyone was attacking him. He was headlines everywhere when he was being rude to this kid. Now it seems like he swapped out Hugh Jackman, by the way, with Rob, his Wrexham partner, the one who's invested in the Wrexham football team with him. Because now he's bringing him with him everywhere. He just brought him, for some reason, I don't know why, it doesn't make any sense that he brought him to a screening and a Q&A for his movie, the documentary that he produced about John Candy. What is he doing there? He had nothing to do with the movie. He's just like, hey, I have a friend and his name is Rob. I don't remember his last name now. But anyways, he is Ryan's new BFF now that Hugh Jackman is out of the picture. So yeah, again, let me know what you think if Glenn Powell is talking about Ryan Reynolds here. So let's talk about the bombshell in the docket, you guys. So remember Van Zandt, the company who just decided to sue 10 anonymous people? And then they ended up getting hold of Jennifer Abel's phone. And then it turned out that the owner of that company was Blake Reynolds. And the CEO of that company is Ryan Reynolds. And they used this lawsuit to subpoena Stephanie Jones, who used to work for Justin Baldoni. And through that subpoena, they got hold of Jennifer Abel's phone, who was about to leave Stephanie Jones to start her own company. And somehow, miraculously, these text messages ended up in the New York Times and in Blake Lively's complaint. And funny enough, this entire lawsuit that was filed against these anonymous people were dropped just the day before Blake Lively filed that CRD complaint. So when this came to light a while back that this was the method that they had used to get hold of Jennifer Abel's phones, to get hold of the only evidence that they have, Blake Lively's team came out and said that this is just normal. Everyone does these kind of things and it's just really normal. But here's the thing. So Stephanie Jones got hold of Jennifer Abel's phone already in August. This lawsuit wasn't filed until September 27. So what was that phone doing in those 3 or 4 weeks or even longer when it was in Stephanie Jones' possession? Was she actually accessing all the private information of one of her employees? Did she find these text messages and then alerted Blake Lively and then conspired with her on how she could access these text messages legally? And another thing that I found so shady about that is, why was Jennifer Abel's phone the only one that was confiscated in this lawsuit? Why weren't there other employees' phones like Stephanie Jones? She's the one that owns the company that represents Justin Baldoni, represented him at the time. Why wasn't her phone confiscated by Van Zandt? The only reason I could find for that is that she was conspiring with Blake Lively. Anyways, as I said, it's so obvious. So Tuesday next week, the Wayfair party and Justin Baldoni's team is supposed to depose Van Zandt. And a representative from Van Zandt is supposed to show up and tell the truth. And this is where it gets really, really messy. But before I get into all of that, I wanted to thank the sponsors of this video, Lola Blankets. Okay, you guys, you know that feeling at the end of the day when you just want to wind down and get curled up in your sofa and have a glass of wine maybe, or a cup of tea, and just watch your favorite TV show. That's when Lola Blanket comes in. This is hands down the softest thing I've ever felt, even softer than my dog Oscar. And yes, he loves it too. I have no idea how they made this, but it's vegan faux fur. And with the signature 4-way stretch, it makes it drape perfectly on any kind of furniture. I went with this large size, which covers both me and Magnus and Oscar. And they also actually have an extra large size, which is apparently the biggest blanket on the internet. And I do believe it. And now I know I have to replace all my other blankets in this apartment. It's not just cozy though, it really elevates the entire room. It looks so classy and sexy and so elegant. And the great thing is that you can wash it over and over again, especially if you have a dog, you know, like me. White things get dirty, But with Lola Blanket, you can just throw it in the washing machine. And it's no pilling and no shedding. It just looks as flawless again when you take it out of the washing machine. There is a reason why Lola Blanket is called the #1 blanket in the world. It has over 10,000 5-star reviews. To me, this blanket represents the definition of cozy, and I'm Norwegian, so I know what cozy and hygge is, and this is it. For a limited time, you, as my viewers and listeners, are getting a huge 35% off your entire order at lolablankets.com just by using my code FLAA, F-L-A-A, my last name. Just head to lolablankets.com and use code FLAA and get 35% off at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. So please support my channel by saying that I sent you. So wrap yourself in luxury with Lola Blankets. Also, a big thank you to Green Chef for sponsoring this episode. Fall is my favorite season, and with crispy air and cozy sweaters and warm flavors just to make everything feel so comfortable. And that's also the perfect time to reset and bring healthy habits back into your life. And with Green Chef #1 meal kit for clean eating, you can do just that. Green Chefs makes it easy to spend less time in the kitchen and actually enjoy more time outside. Their new Heat and Eat meals are a lifesaver. You can have a delicious, wholesome meal in just 3 minutes. And when you want to cook, their recipes are featuring organic produce and 100% responsibly sourced protein. And that's why you know you're fueling your body with the best. What I love most is the variety of meals. They've got over 80 dietitian approved options every single week. Mediterranean, gluten-free, plant-based, even gut and brain health meals. There's truly something for every mood and every lifestyle. I can't wait to try this chicken with parmesan, squash, noodles, tomato, caper, pan sauce, broccoli, hazelnut, basil pesto, and this pork fillet with almonds and dates, roasted cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, and cardamom spiced yogurt. Make this fall your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50Kjersti, my name, KJERSTI, and use code 50Kjersti. And get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months. That's greenchef.com/50Kjersti, code 50Kjersti. Okay, so let's dig back into this. As I said, on Tuesday, Justin Baldoni's team of the Wayfair parties are supposed to depose someone from Van Zandt, the company that Ryan Reynolds is CEO of, the company that they've been trying to hide, desperately hide this entire time because they know what they did was truly shady and maybe even illegal. So Van Zandt has agreed to be deposed by the Wayfair party, but they're saying that they only want to talk about things that happen after September 27th, which was the day that they actually filed this lawsuit against these 10 anonymous people to get hold of Jennifer Abel's phone. And the thing is, that's not really that interesting. What's interesting here is what led up to that lawsuit. And the truth is that Van Zandt filed this lawsuit saying there was a contractual breach somewhere. They didn't say that this had anything to do with Blake Lively's lawsuit against the Wayfair or any SH complaints or any retaliation campaign. They were not being honest about what they were after. And also when you subpoena someone that has to give information about another party, that party should be informed. That party was Wayfair and Justin Baldoni, and they were not informed. Anyways, now they're arguing back and forth about this date. And now the judge has said to Justin Baldoni's team that they have to refile this because they didn't do it the right way. I feel like Judge Lyman is just trying to find little loopholes here so he can support Blake Lively, because what this information would bring could be catastrophic to Blake Lively. It could really bring down her entire case. Because if these texts were obtained illegally, she can't use them. And she has Zero. So he has absolutely nothing. The one text message that's been quoted over and over again is that Melissa Nathan said, or was it Jennifer Abel? One of them said, sorry, I don't remember which one said, that we can bury anyone. And that's what Blake Lively has based this entire lawsuit on, this retaliation campaign or this smear campaign. The big question here is, why is it so important for Van Zandt not to talk about what happened before they filed this sham lawsuit? Why can't they be open about that? What are they hiding? They're obviously hiding a lot of things. And I really hope that the Wayfair Party has enough time now to refile this and do it the exact way that the judge is telling them to do this, so they have time to get his approval, to ask them questions before September 27, before this deposition is taking place on September 30th, which is on Tuesday. I don't know why they keep delaying all these things. Why hasn't all of this stuff happened so much earlier in the process? Why are they pushing everything to the end of the discovery phase, which is at the end of this month? They only have like 4 days left. As I said, this is such a big mess. Also in question here is, who is going to represent Van Zandt in that deposition? Ryan Reynolds is the CEO. I don't know if there's any other employees here, because that Van Zandt company has no real business. They don't really do anything. It's just a shell company. So it's either him or maybe some lawyers that are working for the company. I don't know. I think Ryan Reynolds is going to try to avoid this as much as possible. And also, why was his company, he's the CEO of this company, he's responsible for this company, why was his company playing such a big part in this lawsuit that had nothing to do with him? Right now, this is a civil case, as you know. But could this end up being a criminal case because of all of this? Because if the Wayfair could prove that Ryan used a shell company to funnel stolen data, that's pretty serious. And that's basically what he did. I'm so curious to find out what happened leading up to that subpoena, the conversations that they had between them. You know, Stephanie Jones was really pissed off with Jennifer Abel because she wanted to leave the company and start her own. And that's where this feud between them started. And of course, she should be loyal to her client, which was at the time Justin Baldoni. She was not loyal to him. She was not loyal to her own employee. She was loyal to Blake Lively and Leslie Sloan and Ryan Reynolds. Why? This is really bad for Stephanie Jones as well, because we know that there was a period of time that she was in possession with Jennifer Abel's phone, and she didn't have the legal grounds to have that phone at the time. And if there's any information that the Wayfair can get hold of that proves that Stephanie Jones shared that information before that subpoena was filed on her company, that could put her in a lot of trouble. All right, and then we have the signal messages. This is also so messy. So Blake Lively's team have been trying to get hold of these signal messages that have been like group chats that's been happening between Brian Friedman and the Wayfair parties and other parties, because they think that that is the evidence that they're looking for, that they will find evidence for the smear campaign in there. So the Wayfair parties have said all the time that they have given them what is relevant for the case, and they're saying that there's a lot of text messages that are privileged. They're personal or they're privileged because of attorney-client privilege. And Blake Lively saying, we're not interested in your excuses. We want to see everything. And whatever you're not showing us, you need to prove the reason that there's a good reason for you not to show us those text messages. So Lively's team is pointing at 7,529 messages that they're saying that they want access to. So far, they've gotten 523 signal messages. And they're saying that, of course, some of these other messages might be important to us. So now what Wayfair Party has to do is to log all of these 7,000 messages and explain why each of them should be privileged. This could take so much time. Just imagine the billing hours for doing something like that. 7,000 messages. Every message have to be filed into a system and explained why Blake Lively's team shouldn't be allowed to see it. The judge hasn't ruled on this yet, but when he does, and if he does, and if he sides with Blake Lively, which he most likely will do, then this is going to be a nightmare for the Wayfair parties. I understand why the Wayfair parties don't want to share all this information in the first place. Maybe they're not hiding anything that could be relevant to the case. But if they've been talking about Blake Lively in a bad manner, or, I'm sure they don't really like her at this point, and there are a lot of messages that are expressing their feelings around her, they don't want that to be public. And I think those are the kind of things that they're probably been hiding in here, that they don't want Blake Lively's team to see. Yes, anyways, the Signal saga continues. Let's see what the judge says this time. And yeah, stay tuned. Also, Ryan Reynolds has been busy running around promoting John Candy, the movie, and now he's bringing his friends into the occasion as well. He brought his friend Rob, I can't remember his last name still, but he brought him on stage the other day. So he's been booking this tour promoting his movie that he just produced the movie. He didn't direct it, but he produced it. And now it's, of course, all about Ryan Reynolds. So this whole tour is called Ryan Reynolds with Friends. And it's his picture everywhere. He's in front of everything. It's just so narcissistic. But anyways, thanks Glenda for pointing this out to me. She sent me the cocktail menu that was at one of these events, and it looks so similar to what the cocktail menu looked like at It Ends With Us. Remember that cocktail menu that Blake Lively had, where people were saying, like, why are you making cocktails about a DV movie? And one of the cocktails were named after one of the abusers in the film, Ryle. I don't know the meaning behind Ryle Your Weight, but it doesn't give me a good taste in my mouth. Also, it ends with buzz. Playing on the title of a DV movie, making it into a movie about booze. I mean, this got a lot of backlash as well back like a year ago when all of this happened. And now Ryan Reynolds made a drink menu for the John Candy movie for a person that is dead. Yeah, like Glenda is saying here, Maximum Effort didn't learn anything. Remember, this is a movie to honor a comedian that's passed. And Ryan Reynolds is using the opportunity to push aviation gin. Isn't it just amazing? I'm sure John Candy's family feels great about that. And interestingly enough, on all the venues that Ryan Reynolds is touring with this film, you can't record or take any photos. It says absolutely no photos or recording of any kind. Why is that? That never happened to the Q&As, the Deadpool Q&As, or the Time Magazine sit down. It was never rules like that you can't take any photos or any recordings at any time. Yeah, this tour is just about Ryan Reynolds monetizing on a dead comedian and using his image and his legacy to try and clean his own. Anyways, I got really deep into the rabbit hole yesterday and I did some research and I found something really amazing about Ryan Reynolds that I'm going to talk about in my episode on Sunday. So please stay tuned for that. It's going to be really revealing, I promise you. Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I wanted to end it with a recommendation. I watched this TV show that I finished last night that I just found so thrilling. So if you like crime and dark materials, this TV show is amazing. It's German and it's called Dear Child and it's on Netflix. Yeah, I just thought I'll throw it in there. I always love when people give me recommendations for good TV shows. So there you go, Dear Child. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. You're amazing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do check if you've been unsubscribed and resubscribe if you want to. And hit the notification bell. Hype, like, share, comment, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in my next one.
Yeah,
Bye.
we've lost some time.